You know, I have never in my lifetime saw a president under a bigger microscope than Joe Biden. The media and the pundits, they sit back and they watch every single move he makes. They listen for every stutter, every hesitation, every misspeak, every pause in between words, and they pounce. And then they say, he's not fit for office. And ever since the debate, that's all they've been talking about. And it's as though they have been pressuring Joe to drop out of the race at this point in the game. And you know, I tuned out of the mainstream media a long time ago and stopped taking them serious, but this one right here is one that I find completely unforgivable because everything that Donald Trump did along the way, from inciting a riot on our nation's capital to being found liable for sexual abuse and guilty of fraud, I never heard any of them saying maybe this should be a reason he shouldn't be in office again, maybe he shouldn't run, maybe he should drop out of the race. I never heard them say any of those things. If anything, they just came out and showed us a poll and said, oh, look, it's caused his numbers to go up. How interesting. It's been so frustrating watching them crucify Joe Biden when we stumble across clips like this one, and they might have talked about it for a few minutes, but it's right back to crucifying Joe. Take a look at this.
I did with the debate the other night.
Oh, fantastic.
He kicked that old broken down pile of crap.
Yeah.
It's a bad guy. He just quit, you know. He's quitting the race.
Is that right?
Yep, I got him out of the race. And that means we have Kamala. I think she's going to be better. She's so bad. She's so pathetic.
It's so amazing.
It's just so fucking bad. So,
I just can't imagine.
but can you imagine that guy with dealing with Putin and the president of China, who's a fierce person? He's a fierce man, a very tough guy. And they see him. They probably they can't. But they just announced he's probably quitting.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Just keep knocking him out, right?
Thank you.
So yeah, there's the face of the evangelical movement using language like that. I think every minister in America ought to have to walk onto their pulpit after they get done playing a montage of clips from Donald Trump. Because if they're going to hold their congregation to account every Sunday and pick apart every aspect of their life, they should really dive in and pick apart the guy that they gave the microphone to and made the front runner of their party and the front runner of their movement. Here's a guy sitting there talking about calling Biden an old broken down pile of crap. That's the kind of respect that he has for the presidency. Talking about how fucking bad Kamala is. That's the type of respect he has for the Vice President of the United States. And then, of course, he has to praise dictators. He has to throw in, well, how's this guy going to be going up against a dictator? These guys are strong. These guys are fierce. These guys are bold. I never hear the media and the pundits go off on, hey, wait a minute. We've got a guy over here praising dictators. We've got a guy over here that continuously kisses their ass and sucks up to them. You know what? As far as how will Biden do sitting in front of all these dictators, I'll say this. I will gladly have Joe Biden sitting there across from Vladimir Putin, pausing and waiting and thinking about what he's going to say next before I will take Donald Trump just kissing up to him. That's just the way I look at it. But folks, I've never in my life seen the media treat a president this way over a bad debate performance and then turn around and just talk about how it helps Trump's numbers whenever he fucks up. It's totally disgusting. But I want to play you this clip here from Gavin Newsome because it's a good one. I think that we need to stay focused on what Joe Biden has accomplished and also on the fact that he's just a decent man. Take a look.
I've been going wherever I've been asked, whatever task, large and small, because I believe in this man. I believe in his character. I believe that he has been one of the most transformative presidents in our collective lifetimes. I really believe there's a decency to Joe Biden. And I'm old-fashioned. Character matters, but I'm also old-fashioned in this respect. Results matter. Politics is not just performative, not just entertainment. It's about getting things done. And it's been a remarkable 3.5 years from my perspective. It's been, dare I say, a master class. And I don't say that lightly. And I hope we pause. Democrat, we're so good at focusing again on what's wrong and not celebrating what's right. That's right. Yeah. And so I just want to talk a little bit about that for a second. I mean, we are the envy of the globe. Doesn't matter where you go. The rest of the world looks to us and says, what are they all complaining about? Look at this economy. 40 straight months with unemployment at or below 4%. Best in our lifetime. Lowest unemployment for women in our lifetime. Lowest unemployment for blacks in our lifetime. Lowest unemployment for Hispanics in our lifetime. The lowest uninsured rate in our lifetime. One of the lowest poverty rates. What is it about this, Democrats, that we can't be proud of?
When he said, I'm old-fashioned, character matters, the one thought that went through my head was character should never go out of style. Character should never become old-fashioned. You know, I didn't agree with John McCain and Mitt Romney on politics, but I thought that they had character. I thought they were decent people. Donald Trump is one of the most vile, disgusting human beings that ever came down the pike, wants to terminate the Constitution and be dictator on day one, and now the Supreme Court has gave him free reins to do so. And Gavin Newsome's right when he talks about politics is not all about performative art, but that's what Trump has turned it into. Trump said it's all about the ratings. If you can get the ratings, you can get them. And that's the one thing he was right about, because that's all the mainstream media cares about is their ratings. And they know as long as they just talk enough about Trump to keep him in the game and keep him relevant, he's always going to be ratings. And then they know if they sit back and criticize every move Joe Biden makes, that's going to be ratings. And I find the whole thing to be disgusting. But Joe Biden did sit down for an interview with George Stephanopoulos, and I want us to take a look at that, and then we'll talk more about this.
Are you the same man today that you were when you took office 3.5 years ago?
In terms of successes, yes. I also was the guy who put together a peace plan for the Middle East that may be coming to fruition. I was also the guy that expanded NATO. I was also the guy that grew the economy. All the individual things that were done were ideas I had or I fulfilled. I moved on. And so, for example, well, that was true then. What's Biden done lately? Today, just announced 200,000 new jobs. We're moving in a direction that no one's ever taken on. I know you know this from the days in the government. I took on Big Pharma. I beat them. No one said I could beat them. I took on all the things we said we got done. We were told we couldn't get done. And part of it is what I said when I ran was I wanted to do three things: restore some decency to the office, restore some support for the middle class instead of trickle-down economics built from the middle out and the bottom up. That way the wealthy still do fine, everyone does better, and unite the country.
But what has all that work over the last 3.5 years cost you physically, mentally, emotionally?
Well, I just think it cost me a really bad night, a bad run. But, George, I'm optimistic about this country. I don't think we're a country of losers that he points out. I don't think America's in tough shape. I think America's on the cusp of breaking through in so many incredible opportunities.
Now, I thought Joe Biden did do well in the interview with Stephanopoulos, but there is one thing I would like to point out. He asks him there, hey, how do you think the last 3 years, do you think they took a toll on you? Why don't he set Donald Trump down in a chair and say, hey, don't you think your presidency in the last 4 years since you left office, don't you think that's took its toll on the American people? Don't you think it's time that you drop out of the race for the good of your party and hand it back over to somebody with a little shred of human decency? Why won't they set Trump down in a chair and hold him accountable for anything, or say that to him? Why is it always Joe Biden that has to be under that microscope? And I know that there's probably a lot of people that weren't happy with the interview with George Stephanopoulos. There's probably people that are still going to want to talk about the debate on the left side of the aisle. And if you're one of those people, I think you really need to see this clip from John Fedman.
I think what we need to win is we all need to we have to support Joe Biden. And I want to address all the other crazy stuff that was happening even before the debate. We're going to abandon Biden, or we're going to walk away, or I'm going to be uncommitted, or that. Well, congratulations. If you're panicking now after the debate, you were willing to dick around with this before all that, because we're going to need all in on this. And if you think you're going to send a message as a Democrat or voting for someone else or throwing away your vote, well, guess what the message was in 2000? That was tanking Gore. And that's 2 terms of Bush. And if you thought you were going to be clever and send a message in 2016 and piss your vote away for somebody like Stein, well, congratulations. That got us Trump. So if you want to do this in 2024, if you want to play with that kind of a fire, you're going to really you really have to own that kind of a burn. Democrats and those kinds of people that are concerned by having a second term of Trump all has to agree. He may not have to be our dream candidate, although I think he's been a great president. When you consider what the alternative is, just lean in and deliver a second term for Joe Biden.
He hit the nail right straight on the head. If anybody out there is thinking that by voting third party or staying home on election day is going to send a message to the establishment, it's going to be some sort of rebellious vote, you're just going to hand the country over to a dictator. You're just going to piss away 250 years of democracy. That's what's going to happen. So I'm not here to defend Joe Biden's debate performance. I never have been. What I'm here to do is criticize the media and the way that they've handled it. and the way that they have pressured Joe Biden to drop out ever since, the way they have made that the story. Because, folks, at the end of the day, the reason they're doing this is because it's so easy to do. They got Donald Trump, who is guaranteed to bring them ratings, so anytime he slips up, they can mention it. That's going to bring them ratings. And Joe Biden being old and them saying, hey, look, he stuttered. Hey, look, he forgot where he was. Hey, look, he paused too long in between sentences. They can pounce on every move, and they know that that's ratings, and they know that that's a story. But I'm never going to forgive them for any of this. I'm never going to forgive them for the way that they crucified Joe Biden over a bad debate performance, and yet they have sat here and they've acted as though what Trump does is normal. They have normalized Trump's behavior. They have normalized MAGA's behavior. They've said that we were too hard on them, we were too critical, that we were being too divisive. Well, all I will say is we was never able to shake hands with a clenched fist. We tried. So this is one that I will never forgive the media for, ever. And I will be right there with Joe Biden until the bitter end, because I care about American democracy and because Joe Biden is the better human being.